Man, it's Monday. So what does that mean? Not Monday Night Football, not even Monday Night Baseball, but it's your boy back in the house again. Season 1, episode 117. Man, we're getting on down the road with your main man, the one and only Coach Tony, and this is the Pull Up Podcast Show. Man, we brought you a lot of different folks on the podcast throughout the year. Tonight, we're going to flip it up. We're going to talk about the small people. We're going to talk about the opportunity to make it to the next level and things that 90% of these young people out here that are playing for, practicing for, want to know. But before we introduce our guests, Val, you know what to do. Try.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show. We give you not one, not two, not three, but 4 quarters of knowledge, quarter by quarter. It's the guest and the host is the mostest, the one and only Coach Tony. Make sure you do me a favor, like us, share us, and more importantly, subscribe to the show. Tonight, we're bringing to you a women's basketball coach who's been in the game for quite some time, but has been working along these small school specters. The opportunity where about 90% of our high school athletes end up in Division II and also NAIA. We're going to talk to this coach a little bit about different things he's doing. And right now, he's the coach of a college down in St. Louis and the Science and Pharmacy College. And more importantly, you see this crest right here? He's one of my illustrious brothers of none other than Kappa Alpha Psi. We're going to let him talk about his story. We're going to talk about his coaching career. And more importantly, talk about some points that some of you guys need to know in terms of finding a good school that's a perfect fit for you. Let's bring on my boy, Coach Markell Cox. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Coach? How are you?
Man, Luke, what's up, yo?
Not a whole lot,
Man, that's good, baby. Pull Up Podcast Show, man. I'm excited. I've been trying to get you on the show for a minute. So let me tell you, I appreciate you and the time that you spend with us tonight, man, and educating our audience on, something a little different. We've had agents on, we've had kids at the next level on. We've not had a guest on tonight to talk about where 90% of our student athletes fall, and that's into the NAIA D3 area tonight, man. Before we get started, Coach Cox, man, let's get a audience a little background, man. Tell them where you grew up at and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Markell Cox, the new head women's basketball coach at the University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy in St. Louis, small NAIA school in the heart of the city in St. Louis, from Memphis, Tennessee. Just raised to do what I love. And I'm different than most because I actually grew up in a gym. So I always love to tell the story about, my upbringing was, legit in a gym from the small age of 3 years old. So I grew up in the gym, and there was, I always wanted to be, a coach. There was never a other dream for mine. It was, other people wanted to be doctors and lawyers. I wanted to be a coach because that's what I was raised around.
Now, did mom or dad have you in the gym? Who had you in the gym?
So my aunt, Coach Lucy Seabear, is the all-time winningest coach in the state of Mississippi.
Okay.
For women's basketball. My uncle, Coach Tavor Griffin, he was on the guys' side, and he's amongst the winningest as well. So I used to get shipped out to go to one practice with my aunt because my older cousin was babysitting, and then they asked me to the afternoon when my uncle would come in because they coached at the same high school, Cleveland Eastside High School in Mississippi. So I would be 5-6 hours in the gym from a young age of 3, 4, 5 on up until I got an age, and just kind of started on the journey from them. Those are the two people that I idolize, and I love to say that I started coaching to be able to tell the story that they couldn't tell. So being able to utilize the platform that I have here, and the voice and the presence that I have to be able to tell the story of my family, because outside of me telling you today, most people would have never heard it. So that's my why. That's why I'm on this journey right now.
Man, that is awesome. Let's go back to let's rewind this tape back to Memphis. So
Yeah.
how was it in high school, Coach Cox, where you had guys that was probably at the school, maybe you had one or two D1 guys, a couple of D2 guys, maybe some NAIA guys, and all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, one day you guys are players, but one day I want to be in that spot or in the position to coach you doing what you're doing now. What was it like during the high school time when you really knew you wanted to be a coach, not necessarily a player? And then how was you preparing yourself, at that time?
So Memphis is a hotbed for basketball. Like
Yes, it is.
baseball, basketball, and football are on a large scale. Our sports scene is huge. Memphis is a big sports city, and back when I was growing up, all the talent was in the city versus the county. We had a couple great guys come out of the county, that went on to play Division 1. But man, just in our school alone, we had 5 guys to go on and play Division 1. So like Coach Wesley Hennon did a great job really raising the team and taking the program to new heights. And from that lineage of taking and seeing Coach Hennon do what he did, that's something I felt like was instilled in me. And then I had the opportunity to actually go down after my uncle retired at Cleveland Eastside, and I ended up playing in the summer under Coach Cotton with former NBA player Johnny O'Brien III.
Okay, yeah.
Plays overseas now, and Johnny back then was just a 9th grader, and he was 6'8", 6'9". And it's like, okay, like these are the type of guys that are going to those high level schools. So just transitioning from that into coaching, I just always said, hey, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get my degree, I'm gonna do what's necessary, I'm gonna take the road that's less traveled, and I'm gonna start down this journey of being a coach. So once I was done with my school and myself, I was able to go ahead and get into the coaching game. I started, as a volunteer and just kind of worked my way up through the ranks. So, I attest a lot to the city of Memphis because it taught me that grit, that grind. It taught me how to hustle and how to really get after it, just like the city itself. So, I owe a lot to the city of Memphis for, literally helping me and shaping me and headed on this journey, which I'm in year 11, year 12 now. So, it's been a blessing, and I've been able to do it on my own as the head coach for 8 of the last 12 seasons.
Yeah, man, it's been interesting, man. It's crazy. Now, you came out of high school. Did you attend a PWR? Did you go to an HBCU?
I'm HBCU proud. University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
There you go. Put it on the map, baby. Pine Bluff, baby.
Yeah, UAPB.
Way down in the cut.
yeah. So UAPB was very instrumental, in my upbringing. I learned so much in those years of college, and I attest everything to just getting in there and being amongst other young people like me from the city of Memphis. And they brought in a huge class that year they brought us all in. It was called Memphis Day. And I see guys that I competed with in sports across the entire city. And we're looking at each other like, wait, you're coming here? Like, and so, just that respect right away, it went without saying. Honestly, there was no other school during that time. And then, I spent my time at UAPB. And then I also went to Middle Tennessee State University. And 2 totally different sides of the spectrum. I love my HBCU. It was one of the reasons on my journey where I ended up going back south to Arkansas, because I enjoyed my stint in Arkansas as a student back then. So, and even as an athlete. So
Yeah, that was good. As a matter of fact, I think UAPB, I think that's what Scottie Pippen came out of too, wasn't it?
And he's from UCA, Central Arkansas.
Central Arkansas, that's right. Yeah, I knew it was down there. That's so funny. You know, we talk about the HBCU because I don't get the opportunity to really dig into the teeth of that a lot. And you said and mentioned something that's kind of interesting earlier. We talked a little bit about your family having those deep roots and things of that nature into the Mississippi basketball. And if you understand, and you and I talked about this earlier when we were having a conversation. My cousin, who's been on the show, Dr. Derek Burgess, has a show called Sports Talk with the Doctor. And he's now the sports doctor with JSU and all that. But as you were coming through those ranks and you were able to see your relatives getting an opportunity to etch their name in stone into greatness, into the state of Mississippi, into a state where it wasn't supposed to be us, Coach Cox, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We keep it real. Wasn't supposed to have no African Americans etched in anything. Talk to us about that and how important that was, not only to you, but to your family as a legacy. And that really kind of said, hey, you want to make sure that you continue that legacy on.
Yeah, so my family's deeply rooted in the SWAC and in Mississippi. So my mother attended Mississippi Valley State. I attended University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. My father attended Mississippi Valley State. My cousin attended Alcorn State University. My aunt and uncle actually, my aunt integrated Delta State University, where she was the first African-American student. And my uncle was the first African-American student athlete that, received a scholarship to play at Delta State University. So, I really saw it all at a young age. And, it's great that they're getting their flowers. But, back when I was coming up early on, it wasn't something where they were immediately received outside of our own close-knit community right there. Now we look around in the city of Cleveland, they honored my uncle's team maybe 2 years ago back at Delta State for the first time and gave them their championship rings.
Wow.
My aunt has, a street named after her in the town, and the conjoining street is named after my great grandmother now. And just to see those kind of things where, Delta State University went from being someone that wasn't so proud to have, my aunt there to, coming to see her and delivering her, items, from her time there, but also delivering items just to show their appreciation for her. So, over the time, it's been great to see the growth in the state and in the South become more progressive and more accepting, because they did a lot of great things that, people wouldn't normally hear about. And again, that's why I say that I'm on this journey, because I'm the one that's able to help tell the story, because they didn't have, YouTube and social media and things like that. I want to brag about my family a little bit too and talk about everything that they did well, because I don't feel like they were ordinary people. I feel like they were extraordinary coaches. And, just to grow up amongst that, man, it was something special.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And I got to give a shout out to my girl, Coach Kim Anderson down at Mississippi Valley, keeping everything doing very well and all that. And, and when you turn around and you look at it, I'm just imagining what you just said. You got a relative that helped integrate an HBCU that they just now giving him his flower for.
Well, she integrated a PWI, not an HBCU.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right.
So, that was huge then. And we're talking, she walked to school. And you've never been to Cleveland, Mississippi.
Which was dangerous enough back in the day.
Yeah. So you've never been to Cleveland, Mississippi, but that's not no easy walk, man. That's a few miles.
And like me, you talked earlier, that ain't no city blocks, them country blocks.
Yeah, them different. And so, every chance I get to get away and go back and spend time with my aunt, anytime I go visit my grandparents in Cleveland, Mississippi, I always swing by my aunt's house. We always talk basketball. She always wants to know what's next, where I'm going, where I'm headed, how proud she is of me. And, I had my full circle moment 2 years ago where when I was at University of Arkansas Monticello, we
I
were able
remember that.
to
Remember when
take
you took
my
that job?
team. Yeah, we were able to take my team from Monticello and play at Delta State. And my aunt and uncle got to see me coach for the first time. Now we lost. I think we lost by 6 points. But, to take Delta State to a wire, and have my aunt and uncle really show that appreciation, like, okay, he really can do this. I felt like, at Thanksgiving, I graduated from the kid table to the big people table.
Yeah.
So,
You graduated from the potato to mashed potatoes.
Yeah. So I had a chance to do it in front of them, and man, if it ended right there, I would have been happy because, that's my why. That's why I do what I do, is to be able to tell that story
Man,
amongst everything. But yeah,
that's awesome. You got me with goosebumps over here. Hey, let's check in with a few folks. My girl Bella, I love it. She said, "What's up, Coach T? I appreciate it. She's regular. I love on my show." And some of your guy, Junior Ali, said, "What's up, Coach Cox?"
yeah. What's going on? That's my guy right there. I got a lot of stories to tell what that guy told me.
We're gonna hear some of those. So you checking in right there. And Miss Brooke Osborne said, "What's up, Coach? What's going on, Mr. Cox?"
Yeah, so, Brooke was definitely instrumental. Sorry, my allergies, man, are killing me. But Brooke definitely helped me a lot at Bluefield University, just helping me navigate where I just left, man. It was.
Oh man, that's we're gonna get into that. Hey, yeah. We are talking to my main guy, my frat brother, my baby, yo. We talking to Coach Markell Cox. We're gonna be back. We're gonna pay a few bills, get out of this first quarter, and be back. Val, let's pay some bills real quick. We'll be right back on the Pull Up Podcast Show with yours truly, Coach Tony.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the Key Spot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAT. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. Key Spot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. Key Spot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Welcome back with your guy, the main man, Coach Tony, on the Pull Up Podcast Show. Make sure you like us, share this link, and more importantly, subscribe. I got my guy on the show tonight, Coach Markell Cox from the University of Science and Pharmacy out of St. Louis, Missouri. Coach Cox, I'm sitting back. The crazy part about it is, man, how we sometimes tell a story that's so vital to us. Like my relatives are linked to Alabama in that way, through the Montgomery bus boycott. My great grandmother babysat none other than Helen Keller. Great grandmother knew Rosa Parks in all the Montgomery bus boycotts and things of that nature. And to see that on the athletic side of the house, man, that had to make you proud. And I remember when you took the Monticello job. Yeah. You and I go back and we were talking about some things. Talk to me a little bit about that first job and the strides and the struggles that you had, and then how it gave you the opportunity to make another move in the coaching game.
Yeah. So when I first started, fresh out of college, I jumped in 2 feet as a volunteer assistant at Lemoyne College. It's in South
Memphis. Out of Memphis. Yeah, baby.
So right there,
Coach Anderson down there.
Yeah. So I jumped in at Lemoyne. That's where I got my start. It was very short-lived, and then I took a job as an assistant at Southeastern Illinois College.
Yep.
Southeastern Illinois College, small junior college in Harrisburg, Illinois.
Yep.
Man, getting paid a small stipend, but I was finally a paid college coach. So for me, that meant more than what I was getting paid. It was the fact that somebody was willing to pay me in order to do what I love. At that point, it was amazing. It's like, okay, so this actually can happen for me. And that really jump-started that vision and that dream. So from there, I took a leap of faith. I moved to Ohio. And when I moved to Ohio, I took my first head coaching job at the age of 24, 25 years old, man. And I had no idea what I was doing, but
I remember up there, you doing your thing though.
yeah. So athletic director Ken Lake, actually it was on LinkedIn where we first got connected, and then he came out and watched the game and offered me a head coaching job after bringing me in for an interview at Clark State Community College in Springfield, Ohio. So I was there basically 1.5 semesters, left there, and I decided I didn't know enough. So, I didn't know enough about being a head coach. So I took a job as an assistant at Urbana University. And a lot of people don't know this part, but I was an assistant basketball coach, but I was the head women's golf coach while I was at Urbana University. So it presented a unique opportunity to be a Division II head coach of a completely different sport. Also, learning operations and budgets and things like that in order to continue on the journey as a head coach when my time came. But I learned so much about being an assistant and so much about being a head coach from that move. And I'm grateful for that move. And from there, I transitioned to Cincinnati Christian University. And I was at Cincinnati Christian University 3 years, put up a ton of numbers over there. We did really, really well at CCU. And our university shut down right before COVID.
I remember that.
Man, you want to talk about something that was hard? I carried a large roster, so being able to place all of those players somewhere and take them from being at CCU and place them at various universities, that was probably the hardest part of the career.
Now let's back up. Let's don't move that. Let's stay right there for a second. Because I really want the people to understand, because I get people ask me questions about videos and D1s and all this and then how they go about there. Let's go back. So we're talking people, we're talking to Coach Cox. We're talking about the route coming as a small coach. And I get you, because you and I were taking that journey together.
Yeah.
Because I took that volunteer job at Fisk University. Yeah. Same thing, jumped into the GCAC, NAIA, and I was that assistant coach, didn't get paid, and then it finally started to happen for me. And it's always great, I tell people, when you can get someone that's almost in the same boat, bouncing ideas off of it. And it was even better that I found you. You was a frat brother, so I knew I would already, trust was already there. We was good. But now you find yourself in Cincinnati. You had a coach that saw what you were doing, liked what you were doing, said, hey, I want to give this young brother an opportunity. Then COVID hit. COVID shut down a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And it stopped a lot of things. Because I know you remember the first year we came out of COVID, when only people that could be in the gym was the team and the coach.
Right.
And it was like practice all over again, like no cheering, no nothing. It was hard to play a game because you score a bucket. It wasn't like anybody going to cheer for you, or maybe you down by one, you need the crowd to get none of that. How was that, and how did that affect some of the decisions you made and some of the things you were working with some of the girls? Because it wasn't like you was at University of Cincinnati where you had people that wanted you, girl. You had a smaller school, right? You had to make things happen. How did that happen for you?
So we shut down. So COVID hit in that February, was that 2020, maybe? And so my school shut down that January, that December, January, going into COVID in February. So I didn't have a ton of Division I players, but we did an excellent job in recruiting to the point where my starting point guard, who started for me since she was a freshman, left me, went to Indiana Wesleyan, competed, was a top 25 team, left there and finished at Southeastern, where she played for a national championship. My starting post player left, ended up at Savannah State, and finished her career as a D1 player at Queen's University in Charlotte. So the caliber of talent we were able to recruit in small town Cincinnati, it didn't matter where they started, it mattered where they finished, but I was able to help them, get to where they wanted to go next and kind of aid and navigate in doing that. And then, so, we're shut down and it's January. I get a phone call from a coach I actually rivaled a little bit with, and I won a lot of those rivalries, so I gained a lot of her respect. Well, she transitioned into being an athletic director. She picks up the phone. She calls me. This is COVID now. This is January, early February. She's like, hey, I want to offer you this job. I know our school is shutting down. Your school is shutting down. I'm transitioning into being the athletic director. I want to hire you as my replacement. And I'm like, okay, amazing. Like, this is sheerly off respect and, knowing the product that I was able to put on the court between myself and my staff. And boom, COVID hits in that February. Everything stops.
Yeah.
And so coming out of a school that shut down, the most important thing for me was who's going to come with stability when COVID is over, because we knew it would end. We just didn't understand when those mandates and different things would end. I know we're still dealing with those things now, but who had the stability to really stay above the cut, for lack of better words, right?
Right.
And,
correct.
It's not that job wasn't going to hire me. It kind of scared me. I had a little PTSD from the school shutting down.
Sure.
It's like, I don't want to go back through that, and they're dragging their feet like there are some issues.
And you got to go back and recruit.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening, that opportunity, they were taking a little long for my liking. And so I had a ton of interviews during that time, Zoom. This is when Zoom first got started and things like that. And so University of Arkansas Monticello ended up jumping to the top of the list. I got a couple phone calls, say, hey, take this job, take this opportunity from some trusted athletic directors that I knew. And I took the opportunity, took the leap of faith. And man, trying to coach during COVID was so tough.
Stressful.
Oh my God, man. We had one point. So at Monticello in our league, the GAC, we were only playing teams on the Arkansas side, and we were Arkansas Oklahoma League. So we were playing all those teams 4 times. Well, at one point, my team caught COVID, and it was exactly 1 month and 1 day from our last game to our next game.
Oh my God. I remember that, Coach Cox. That's the crazy part about it. Because I remember having to go into practice wearing the face mask.
Yeah.
And like you said, if any player on the team, anybody, the program shuts down, multiplied by the number of kids you got, shut down for that 2 weeks. So if you had 12 players on the team, one person got COVID, you had to go through your 2-week process, and then you had to go another week. So it could be 12 to 15 days before you play your next game. And
it was exactly a month for us, man. So it was, man. So I grew up a lot during those 2 years, and I learned so much during those 2 years about the game, about relationships, about loyalty, about things that we took for granted during the everyday game. It was an opportunity to say, I appreciate those things about the game now.
Right.
I can sit here and I can celebrate the small victories now. I can smell the flowers right where I am. And more importantly, I learned to bloom where I was planted.
There you go.
So it humbled me very much so during those COVID times, because, this was everyday things for our normal as coaches to go into practice, have a practice plan. Let's get in this thing 2 hours. Man, sometimes we go in practice and I got 3 or 4 players.
Right. Yeah. And you can't be by him. You had to move over here. You couldn't touch anybody. Yeah. You had to be away from everybody.
So it was tough. And as I transitioned out of that, I ended up at Bluefield University in Bluefield, Virginia. And it was a great 2 years. I got a chance to coach current pro Kylie Meadows. I had Kylie.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yep. So I had Kylie for 1 year. She eclipsed over 1,500 points. Just a special player, the special group. We were able to have the first winning season since 2016-17. And, we were able to get a couple players of the week. Kylie ended up getting first team all conference. So those kind of things, let me know. It's like, okay, it's still possible. Like you still know what you're doing at least a little bit, and not getting in the right direction. So, it was a great time at Bluefield University. And, now that leads me here. So
that's it, man. You give me chill bumps, man, because it's funny falling on this path. Hey, I'm in the studio tonight with the Pull Up Podcast Show with the one and only Coach Tony, talking to my main man, Coach Markell Cox from the University of Science and Pharmacy out of St. Louis University. We're going to come back. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting. We'll talk a little bit about aspirations of playing and how he goes about doing that. But for right now, it's halftime. We'll hit that locker room, Val. Let's pay a few more bills.
I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book?
People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. And, we have to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginning.
There you go.
So she comes out with me. Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol? Don't.
No, I'm just saying. She showed up in the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's going to set it down. She ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying? Because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked to Val. I thought about, writing a book myself because my man's in there. But,
I love it.
And look at Val.
My man's in them.
My man's in there. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped some old Dub C so you could have came out crip walking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not flamed up right now. I got to hold on. Trying to get me shot.
Going back to school tomorrow, like I saw you, Miss Charles. I saw you.
I mean, I can crip walk, so please, but I'm kind of, I'm authoring right now. You guys are funny.
Man, it's the second half, Coach. That's that. How you go in the locker room, give them that halftime talk. Listen, hey, I'm in teen camp right now. My girls went 2-0 today, man. So I'm proud of them. So you got to give them that halftime talk. Like, look, we done played one half. This game ain't over. You got to come out. You got to come out and do what you got to do. And speaking of that, let's jump back into a little bit of what you're talking about, because I really want everybody to understand. We're talking about get to a small school. We're talking about COVID hits. We're talking about the possibility of not even having a program. We're talking about the possibility of now having to go back and create the things that you're doing to make the program go on top. Now, let's talk a little bit about the recruiting aspects. We're talking about kids that are taking the opportunity of looking at a NAIA program /D2. So we're not talking about the kids that are trying to go to Ole Miss or Tennessee or Vandy or something like that. So what is your mindset when you are going into these homes, talking to these parents about the student athletes? And are you leading with academics because we're talking about NAIA in small schools? Or are you in there talking about the athletic program and the academics play an important part?
Well, I've only been fortunate enough to work at small schools. So I've been on the NAIA NCAA Division II, circuit for the last 8-9 years, right?
Yep.
The biggest difference, people always think Division I, Division II,
yep.
And then, well, that's it. I might as well go play Division III, or, like every opportunity is a great opportunity.
Right.
So first and foremost, to continue playing the game is the goal. And
Correct.
Once you're done, the level will mean only so much to a very few select people. So,
Correct.
Division II and NAIA are a lot alike in terms of funding and in terms of, what it takes to package a kid. Number one for me, when I go into a home, we're looking at academics first.
Yep.
Okay. If like at my current school, University of Health Science and Pharmacy, academics play a strong part in our recruiting because we want to recruit higher academic kids because of the programs we offer.
Sure.
So for those recruits that are coming up in the 25, 26, 27 class, the higher your GPA at most schools, it matters more. So, you're able to package certain academic scholarships with athletic scholarships at most schools. They're stackable. Some schools don't do that. But the higher your academics are, even those schools that don't stack, it'll allow you to be able to go outside and get some of those fast web scholarships or any of those kind of county scholarships or chamber of commerce scholarships that have, a certain degree, a certain GPA requirement.
So break this down. So I want you really to break it down because I got some parents watching tonight that have small schools. I got some of my parents. I'm at a small Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And I just tried to talk to a parent the other night, Coach Cox, and I said, if I'm school A, academic, and I'm school B, athletic, and in school B said athletically, you're not going to make it over here. You'll need to go to JUCO route, and maybe if you get your skills, you can come here. But school A says, hey, I'm academic, and I can get here. And I try to explain to the young man, if I asked you to give me $100,000, or told you I'm going to give you $100,000, which one do you want? Now I said, I don't know about you, but I'm a gambler, man. I'm gonna take your 100 stacks all day.
Yeah, I'll take that 100%.
Correct. If I can keep my 100 stacks in my pocket and take 100 grand from you, and it ain't gonna, really move me, I don't know. So I'm trying to make these young ladies that I'm coaching right now understand, at a school like yours, that they're looking at medical and medicine and dentistry and things of that nature, trying to go into pharmacy and that science behavior, how important the academics, and they can go on and have an athletic career and still get what they need. Academic explain and talk a little bit about that.
So I'll lead with this. It's not where you go, it's what you do while you're there.
Right.
So a lot of people don't understand that because we're chasing the D1, I understand that completely, but there's a small percentage of these student athletes that are going to end up as Division I athletes, and in the day of the transfer portal now, this is a beast, 5, 6
and talk a little bit about that, because you really don't have to deal with that transfer portal kind of like a D1 program. I got, Ole Miss 626, that's my girl. She right here, she says, the good thing about is a lot of incoming freshmen are all honor roll students, a lot of those at my school. And she was talking a little bit about, when you're looking at these kids that are coming in, one of the questions are like, okay, Coach Cox, if I got a high academic honor roll, 3.8, 3.9, 4.0 GPA, and I'm looking at Science and Pharmacy University, when you come to my house and you sit down and talk to me, what questions or what are you going to talk about? We're talking about academics, and then you give me the opportunity to play basketball because you're a coach, not necessarily a professor. So what's the selling point when you sit down with that parent?
Well, so from my last school to this school, it's two totally different selling points.
Okay.
Here it's more strongly academic based, and we want them to be. I've always wanted them to be strong academically, no matter what school I was at.
Right. That way you got them available come conference time.
January, come January. I know we're a two semester school.
The only sport is basketball. That's two semesters.
Yeah. And so, you want them to be eligible. But, in the same regard, as we're sitting down and we're talking through recruits and things like this, the higher the academic, the higher the priority for us, because that's for us, we want to make it as cost efficient for you and your family.
Exactly.
And ethically for me, I don't want kids, having to take out $100,000 in loans a year, And
now when I can give you $100,000.
Right. And I'm being a little over the top saying $100,000.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So ethically for me, I want to be able to say, hey, we want to give you an opportunity to get your education. We're going to reward you with your outstanding academics. And also, let's compete. You know, I want to win.
Right.
I'm invested in the student athlete experience, but I
Sure.
also believe winning is a part of that experience.
Now,
So,
what happened with the situation then, if that's the case? We just talked about on the show, I had one of my guys that really went over the huge thing with NIL.
mhm,
And I did a whole show, no guest that night, to break down that situation. But I'm glad I got you on tonight, because now you can make these parents understand the difference of what I've talked about. So previous conversations, Coach Cox, was the D1 guys is X amount of money, depending on if it was a Power 5, X amount of money at mid-major, and then the D2. So when it comes down to the way the NIL, because I want to let a lot of people know, don't think because you are at an NAI program, you cannot get an NIL deal, because
right,
I can tell you the gymnast that just came out of FIST in gymnastics, she's got a huge NIL deal, because
mhm,
FIST the gymnastics put FIST on the map as the
right,
first HBCU to do that. But when you're looking at, let's go back to Monticello. Let's go back to where you just came down in Bluefield, and then move forward to where you are now. And you sit down in these parents' houses, and a kid says, "Hey, Coach Cox, I know that I can't go play for St. Louis Billikens, and I know I can't even probably go play for Lindenwood,
mhm.
but I can come over and play for you. Do you have any NIL money? I know academically I'm strong." How do you make them understand the NIL process at your level?
Sure. So NIL, there's a small pot that, a small portion of that pot that goes to the outstanding athlete. Like, that's what everybody sees on the NIL. One
Correct.
of the most marketable and one of the most successful NIL people, you don't even know his name. His name is Jack Betts. He's a D3 guy. And
Wow.
he has deal after deal after deal, to the point
Wow.
where he's leaving college making a ton of money.
Wow.
He's a D3 guy, plays wide receiver, and he took the opportunity to represent brands and he ran with it. So it's about your personal brand more than anything.
And about getting your numbers up on your social media.
Right. And doing it the right way, and what you post, it does matter. So I had two of my players at Bluefield University, both of them ink deals with Ashley Furniture. And
Okay.
one,
I know
one
Ashley
was in
Furniture,
the
yeah.
yeah, and the other one also was in the process of trying to ink a deal with GNC. And then my point guard was from Puerto Rico. She had T-shirt deals and you name it. She had all kinds of things, but people have to utilize their platform, and
Yes.
people have to be able to say, I want to represent you because you can help grow our brand. So it's
Yes.
all about marketability. Don't get me wrong, those D1 top percenters, they're going to get money. And now it's to the point where the NCAA just passed a new ruling where, the university can give these kids.
Oh, and I mean, just trust me. I know my nephew just signed to James Madison last week, and he walking through the door with a $65,000-$70,000 deal
Yeah,
through the door. I
yeah,
mean, and complaining. I'm like, come on, man, you get an opportunity to play D1 basketball, and they're gonna pay you
they
70,000
can do it,
stack.
right?
I mean, you getting paid better than some cats on the streets that got degrees trying to work, and they got to go hustle a tray like this at a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah, it's life changing for a lot of players on that Division I level, but on the D2, D3, NAI level, it's more about marketability. And these businesses want an ROI. For those who don't understand the business term ROI, they want a return on their investment. So
Correct.
if you have a platform that's unique and is different from everybody else, those companies may be willing to invest in you. And it may just be the mom and pop ice cream shop from down the street in your hometown, but you have a brand of people that they can't reach, or a demographic or a customer that doesn't normally come through their doors. For them, you are someone that they may want to support. I
Right.
had the opportunity to sit in on a seminar a few years back, or actually last summer, called BOSCA. It's the Business of Small College Athletics, hosted by former AD Jim Abbott, and phenomenal. we sat there, and I actually sat through a seminar with Open Doors. Open Doors
Okay.
is an NIL
Oh, I know Open Door, yeah.
NIL committee, NIL platform that allows
Yep.
student athletes to, really grow their brand and take an individual standpoint on that. Well, I had to come back and speak in front of our entire student body at Bluefield University about what I learned, because we ended up partnering with Open Doors, and I was helping kids set up their accounts and get different things going because they were starting to get things from NIL. So, it doesn't matter where you go. It's about how much you are marketable and also what your brand stands for. So, I'm all for NIL when it's done on this level. I'm not a Power 5, one coach. So I don't know what that part is like to,
Right.
to get
it means you manage a lot of money up top for no reason.
Right. But on our level, I think it's a unique opportunity to talk about cleaning up your brand and talking about being somebody that people want to invest in. So I feel like NIL has a strong point to where, we could really take off on this level and it leads to lucrative partnerships long term. So
I think it's going to lead there very much so. And I think we're on the ground floor just seeing it in the NCAA as they continue to screw up. It's just, the NIA is going to benefit from that. So, but
we also deal with a lot of the transfer portal kids here, because you mentioned it earlier. Not all those kids that enter the transfer portal go back on the same level.
Correct.
So
and a lot of them drop down.
Yeah, so I get a lot of kids, that come down division. I've been emailed by Division I through Division III kids that, they couldn't find an opportunity back on their same level. So they're coming to the NAIA. And like I said, we're equivalent to Division IIs, in my opinion, because I've coached both levels. Last year, my team at Bluefield, we played against a girl that played for the University of Kentucky, and she was at an NAIA school. So, a lot of this stuff, man, is hearsay. It's based on what you hear on the media. It's cool to go in the portal. Everybody doesn't come out of the portal.
Again, the 1%, coach. The 1%. The things you hear about in the social media, those are the 1 or 2% that's made it big. But we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna get in a little WNBA action. We're gonna take our last break of the day. Val, you were speaking to the one and only Coach Tony on a Pull Up Podcast show. Val, let's pay our last bill of the night and get these bill collectors out of my pocket. Be right back.
Super Bowl. Do you think that Usher was the best, or was it Beyonce, or was it Kira and J-Lo? Who had the best performance?
Oh gosh. So I never say who's the best or who's the worst. I think in each of their own ways, everyone is to get to play the Super Bowl as an artist in itself is fantastic. I think Usher went through his discography perfectly. Having her come on stage and play the guitar is such a special thing. I think when artists get to invite other artists on stage, it's such a great moment to share the love and share it. And so every artist, like Coldplay bringing Beyonce and Bruno Mars, he didn't have to. Shakira and J-Lo, right? I think it's really important instead of who's the best, getting to realize you could do this moment by yourself and it would still be iconically as good. Usher could have been just himself, like Rihanna did just herself. Right. But he chose, especially to bring female artists on the stage. It's just beautiful, beautiful.
Welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast show, and your main man, it's the one and only Coach Tony. And tonight I got my guy, Coach Markell Cox. Coach Cox, we got a couple questions for you sitting out here. A couple people want to dive their fingernails into. We got two big questions. I'm going to ask you the first and let you answer it. And then we're going to have another one. First one is by one of my close friends of mine, by Ole Miss 626. She said, first of all, NIL is getting completely ridiculous in her opinion. But she says, speaking of women's basketball, what are your thoughts on what is going on in terms of in the WNBA so far? And what do you tell players on how to achieve the level of success when these women are having what they're doing right now? In other words, when you talk to your players And like you just had success. I saw the young lady that was at Bluefield. Now she's playing overseas. I followed her the whole way. She's having tremendous success. When they come to you and they're talking to you about that, Coach Cox, you just say, hey, listen, you may not get picked up by Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Atlanta Dream, but hey, listen, if you want to continue this and you want to play for a few years, that you don't have to go get a job and you can make your way in this basketball, they can pretty much pay you the same amount of money that it is that you can get a job. What's that conversation, and how are you sitting down with that player to let them know that you not only got their support, but what's that conversation about?
Yeah, so for me, number one is, can you do it over there? Like,
Okay.
what are you doing for us and our
Because they'll send you home quick.
man? I can tell you, I've coached 3 pros in my career, and I've had interesting stories from each one of them, just on their first time out or their second contract out, how things are different. But for me, our game is growing and it's transcending to another level. I love the way that women's basketball is finally being appreciated, and we're getting so much notoriety now. But if you're capable, if you have the size, or honestly, if you have the dog in you to be able to go over there and compete, we want to make sure we do our job at being able to market you to that. Kylie Meadows, my latest pro out of Bluefield University. The conversation happened early on with Kylie, like, hey, what is this we want to do? I want to be a professional. Okay, well, A, I need to see you acting like a professional. And B, I need to see you doing the small things that everybody else would not do.
Correct.
You need to be a different kind of dog to make it overseas.
Correct. Correct.
To go and to stay is 2 different things.
Correct.
Kylie had the pleasure of playing in 3 countries in this first year, and in her last country, which was Cyprus, she ended up being newcomer of the year. So to be over there, you have to be somebody special. And she came from small NAI Bluefield University, and
Right.
there are a couple other aspiring pros within that group that now see that it's possible within the program, to the point where we had other coaches in our league calling and saying, hey, we got a couple kids that want to go overseas. How did you go about lining those kind of things up? And so, those were opportunities for me to help kids outside of my program, based on my knowledge of helping push people to go overseas, and those relationships that were built. So, we were able to make something special happen to where she could go and live out her dreams. But that's
awesome.
Right. And that also set the tone for every single other player that said they wanted to be a pro within our program. Understand it's already happened, but we're not going to put our name and our brand on the line for somebody that doesn't hustle and touch the line every practice, And
it helps you out, Coach, because I'm sitting next to Cox every day in practice, right? I'm guarding you, I'm boxing you out. Yeah. I'm going for loose balls, man. You fighting every day. I know you're the best player on the team. I'm right behind you. And then I see you get signed. Man, and I know I got another year. Man, the dog in me just came out, because I'm like, hold up.
Yeah,
man, I'm at him every day, and he just went overseas. I know I can get it. That's right. Like your boy Junior Ali said. Junior said, man, I'm loving everything that's going on right now in the WNBA, in terms of expectation and exposure. It's long overdue, but the one thing they got to understand is hard work will always prevail and pay off. Yeah. So when you sit up there and you talk to your players, I'm a coach, so I get it. We always talk about hard work.
Yeah.
But I talk about the little things, Coach Cox, about the extra things, the little things. Right. Getting in the gym when you're already tired. You already worked out. When can you go back and get a couple more shots? Yeah. Or hit the weight room, staying strong? Because the biggest difference is what we're seeing right now is a massive explosion, as they call the WNBA now. The new nickname is called the W. So in the W, we're seeing that. And I'm telling you, Coach Cox, we are a sneeze away from getting a team here in Nashville, and I cannot wait. And I'm chomping at the bit to make sure I'm a part of that. And and when we're looking at these women and women's basketball, like women's soccer, I was talking about that on my last show. The Major League Women's Soccer is exploding right now all around you in these contracts. And I think that with the situation, what happened with Brittany Griner, getting caught up in Russia, whether that was medicine or whether that was stupidity. It doesn't matter. It cost her, but it was eye-opening, and it was at the same time that COVID was going on, right? So it was crazy. So when you're looking at that, where do you think women's basketball is headed in the near future?
So I got a little bit of a different insight to it because one of my former assistants is Coach Andrea Stinson, who played in the WNBA for 10 plus years. She was a 20-year pro, 20-year vet. You know, she was in the inaugural class of the WNBA. And just to hear the story.
With Cynthia Cooper there.
Yeah, so she was actually backcourt mates with Dawn Staley for the Charlotte Sting. And so, you know, just to hear her talk about what the WNBA was and now where it's trending, like, you know, that makes me happy because, you know, those players paved the way early. You know, players like her being able to establish the league and hold on to the league so that it can get to the point that we're at right now. You know, you talk about, you know, what Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and those people are doing for our game. It's beautiful. You know, one of my really great friends, Coach Aaron Horn, he actually coined a phrase that I thought was kind of brilliant. He has a podcast himself. He coined a phrase that he said he thinks women's basketball in the WNBA is getting ready to take off because now we have a story, for lack of better words. Like when the NBA got Magic and Bird, that's when it transcended to a next level.
But do you know that was 25? I just saw a write-up on that. So basically 1960-ish and 60, 55, 60-ish and 1979, 1980, 82, Bird and Magic came in there. It was the NBA's silver anniversary, 25 years, and it took off. And this is the 25th anniversary from 1989 with the WNBA. So now it's ready to take off to that next level. And people go crazy at me, Coach Cox, and they think that I'm just hoopla, Caitlin Clark. I'm not. I'm an athlete, coach. I don't care if you're pink and green and a Martian, you can freaking put the ball in the basket for me. I'm going to give you an opportunity to play on my court. I don't care. So when you're looking at the things that's going on in the WNBA right now, and, you know, I laugh because this year's top draft, the two top white girls were the top two drafted, and a couple black girls were right behind them. And people start to take that out of context as opposed to looking at them as athletes and what they've done. You know, Caitlin Clark rewrote the college book. We know that. And now people don't know, some people don't know, she's a Steph Curry protege. Steph Curry was flying her out to California a couple times a month, 3 or 4 times a month, working on her game. No different than Steph stepped out of Davidson and nobody knew who the hell he was, and he transcended the NBA. And what gets me is that this young lady, Caitlin Clark, has done it. And you know, I get it. Some of the calls are crazy. And yesterday's game, I was going back and forth with a couple of relatives that didn't think she got hit. But I had to go back and find the video, Coach Cox, and I sent it to him. Since she got hit in the head. And the new rule is anything above the neck is a flagrant one. And then the referees review that. If they want to upgrade it, it's on them. But I get what Angel Reese was saying. It was a play on the ball. The block shot was clean, but she actually caught her in the head. If not, how did the girl lose her headband? So one of the questions I have for you tonight is, do you think that the rookies are getting, 1, fair calls, 2, do you think Caitlin Clark is getting a little bit too much favoritism, and 3, is this just a bunch of smoke?
Well, Coach Raina Harmon out at University of Iowa, great friend of mine, but also talked a lot about Caitlin Clark's work ethic. Like, she's the real deal. So, you know, when she was first blowing up, you know, Coach Harmon and I have been friends for
my boy Coach Thurman is out there in Iowa.
Yeah, so Coach Raina Harmon, she told me, like, hey, she's a real deal. You know, she's in the gym like that. That's what I like to see. Like, okay, so it's not just a show. She's like that. But what she's doing for our game is taking it to the next level. My mother went to a WNBA game for the first time this year, and she went to go watch Angel Reese. You know, my mom's not a basketball person like that, but she, we sat down, I picked out her tickets. She goes to a WNBA game. That doesn't happen without, this year. You see what I'm saying? And so where our game is really, really headed is transcending so much to where it's only going to be a trickle down effect.
Exactly.
So before I got here, University of Health Science and Pharmacy, we had the #1 player in the nation, Grace Bayer.
Oh, wow.
And she's on the Today Show and all kind of different news. They're comparing her numbers to Caitlin Clark, and she was averaging 35 a game.
Wow.
Prior to that, she doesn't receive that comparison or notoriety as big as it is with women's basketball.
Sure, because she's coming out of a little pharmacy science school that nobody knows about.
Right. And so she got that national notoriety and different things on that level to be able to compare to a Caitlin Clark. So, I think for our game, it's amazing where, these things are going, but also what they're currently doing. Like, sure, she's getting fouled a little bit harder and different things to create.
Welcome to the league. Welcome to the league.
Yeah, different narratives. Well, they didn't say that about any other rookie that was getting hit like that. Candace Parker got annihilated when she was a rookie, So, but nobody's talking about those narratives. Like, I just think we need to get past the princess treatment of, oh, she's getting fouled too hard and making a narrative out of it, and just let her play basketball. Like,
and she's tired of it because you'll put a target on this young girl's back.
Right.
And she's saying, hey, like they didn't make the Olympic team this year. She's like, hey, I wasn't good enough this year. But if you go back and look at it, none of the rookies made it, not even Aaliyah Boston. Right. And so that 2020 team, oh my God, that may be equivalent to the 92 Jordan squad.
Right.
Because it's going to be fully loaded, and all that. And Ole Miss 26 says, she said, I watched Caitlin's 8th basketball video, and she's always worked hard. She's done a lot of stuff to work on her game, stay in the gym and stay in practice. Those are some of the things, as you just mentioned. Those are the things that Coach Cox that you can't see. You don't get videos of her. I don't get the videos of your girls in the gym down at Monticello or at Bluefield or at Pharmacy and Science. I don't get that. What I get is the game film.
Yeah, the final product.
I get the game film. So if we don't see that, and I think from where Cynthia Cooper and the gang, when they were down there, Teresa Witherspoon and all of them, a beast, Cheryl Swoops and everybody else, when they set this logo on their back, and Coop that won 4 in a row in Houston, which will never be done ever again. Right. And they chimed her to Jordan of women's basketball, and now we're 25 years later. I think that what they should be doing, Coach Cox, is embracing these young rookies, because these young rookies are going to set the paycheck scale for the next set of rookies, in which you got Juju Watkins and Reese Rice out at UCLA coming through the door next, and these guys. You still got my girl up at UConn that's playing right now. So, it's being nuts, man. But the thing is, I look at is when you're at a situation like you and you're at a small NAI school, when your girls come into your office to sit down with you, do any of them mention or talking about, hey, coach, I would love to get a shot at the WNBA? Because I get my guys, they come and talk to me, coach, and they say, hey, Coach Tony, I know I may not be to the league, but what can I do to maybe get a G League tryout or get overseas? You know what I'm saying? So how many of your girls come to you and sit down in the office and talk to you at least about trying to get overseas?
Well, at Bluefield, so Kyla was the first one to really say, I want to go.
Okay.
And, from day one, I'm going to treat you like a pro. I'm going to hold you to a different standard than everybody else. as well as the standard that I hold everyone else to. Let's figure out how to get you there. Let's change your game. Let's put you, in a better position to go achieve your goals. Well, what that did for our program was allowed other players to follow us that were up and coming and say, okay, maybe this is possible. Hey, coach, how did you get Kylie over there?
Sure.
And being able to get Kylie over there, it ended up my point guard plays in a semi-pro league over in Puerto Rico. And she's Puerto Rican. We talked about when she finishes her 5th year this year, at Bluefield, she's going to go back overseas she wants to go outside of the Puerto Rican league, but she's pretty much guaranteed to be able to go back in Puerto Rico and turn pro.
Right, and that's super luxury. Some of these young girls got. I've got one of the young girls here in Kansas, from over in Denmark and Italy area, trying to do that too.
Right, and so we have the conversation, and it's about being realistic as well. So my job is to support their dreams. I want to support you in everything that you want to do until you can't do it, and then we find a plan B. As long as you go hard for it, I'll go hard for it and hold you to the standard of doing that. One of my players ended up having a Eurobasket tryout, which is a company that really places people and take people on European teams.
Oh yeah, I know Eurobasket.
Right, and so she ended up getting into a workout and getting some film, but also she got a chance to compete against other top players, that are Division I, Division II, and she still had an extra year of eligibility left with COVID and everything like that. So she came out of that tryout saying, I know exactly what I need to work on.
All right.
So for those opportunities, yes, for some, it seems like it may be an empty opportunity. For her, it reignites the fire and it lets her know exactly where she wants to go with this thing. But now through her experience, she can help teach other people behind her, like, hey, I did this, here's what those tryouts are like. Like, here's what you need to be preparing. Like we talked about earlier, everybody they only see the final product,
Right.
Kylie got all of this coverage, but no one saw all summer before she went pro, me converting her from a center to a true, a wing.
Yeah.
She's 6 foot even, 5'11", 6 foot even. No one saw that time spent converting her from that to that in order for her to
the
go
ball,
over
putting
there
up shots, going off drills.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season in the playoffs, I'm watching a game. Kylie has to play point guard. That wouldn't have been possible 2 years before, or at least not having the confidence to do it. So people don't see that product, but it's possible from any level as long as you put in the work, as long as you put up the numbers, and you have to be somebody that, other coaches would want to write their hat on in order to get into some of these tryouts and things. You got a bad attitude or you're someone that doesn't even listen to me, why would I send our brand over there and let you dictate the representation of what our brand of basketball is? That's only
and they're going to ask you about it. That's why I tell players. They're going to call me and say, hey, Coach Cox, you sending Tony over here. What do you think about him? And if me and you bumping heads, they're going to like, hey, man, this dude is solid. He can hoop and everything else. The only thing about him, he got a terrible attitude.
Right.
And that one comment sometimes can keep you home or get you on a plane. You know, and it's crazy. Val, let me see if we can cue up a little coach's advice. If you got that video, Val, ready, let me know. Or not, jump in here. I'd like to get the people, before we get out here with Coach Cox, just a little bit of nuggets of what he talks about when he's talking to his players. If you got that video queued up, drop that for us.
Any help, but let us worry about the help side because you're covering that. That's what they want right here. Okay, sit on top of that. Here we go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Riley on 3.
What I'm telling you is 33 has been here and you've been something behind instead of sitting on top. I know you said you don't have any help, but let us worry about the help side because you're covering that. That's what they want right here, okay?
Man, I tell you, you sound like me today. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. Talk to them. You're on the floor, they're in the trenches.
Right.
Yeah. Help side, you better tell the girl you need help. Don't come look at me. You know what I'm saying? But man, I tell you, it's crazy, man. I actually love this game. You know, Coach Cox has been into it a long time. You know, me and you've been into it from the beginning of yours. I'm 23 deep, 24 years deep this year, man. And God's continuing to bless me. And I'm now trying to take it to the next level and the opportunity to jump off and open up the Pull Up Podcast show so I can have guests like you on. And I appreciate you tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping by, man, just dropping some of your wisdom on us and all that. Before I let you go, I need to know one thing. Boston is up by 20, baby. And I told them for promotional purposes only. And since the NBA is done, I need you to give me who are your final two teams in the WNBA who you think is going to the championship this year. And I'm going to give you my two.
I can't bet against Asia Wilson and her crew. So I'm going to go Las Vegas. And second one's hard, man. I got the Aces. I can't even give you a second.
Well, I'm gonna shoot you out the sky. Hold on. You know how you on the range? Pull.
Yeah.
Asia, them won't make it this year. I love you. My girl's hurt. Kelsey Plum is doing her thing right now. Tanya's hurt. That foot's been giving her problems all year. Asia's been putting up great numbers. I'm gonna tell you, for promotional purposes, I've got the Connecticut Sun and I got the New York Liberty. I think that Breonna Stewart is hungry. She saw what she slipped last year. Connecticut's on a tear right now, 13-1.
Yeah.
And the only loss they got is to the New York Liberty, who is happen to be 11-2.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it's going to be strange. But I want you guys who saw the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky yesterday in Indiana, make sure you tune in this Sunday because y'all going to be in my hometown and y'all ain't getting all them calls in the shop. I'm going to tell you right now, none of that. We downtown. We on the south side of the city. We ain't doing all that, across the head. You're not getting those calls. So tune in 3:00 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Central on, I think the games are now on CBS, where you got the Indiana Fever coming to Chicago for that game. Coach Cox, man, my brother, man, appreciate that, yo. I love you, baby. Appreciate you coming through tonight, man, and dropping some diamonds on us, man, and letting us know if you could give the people your information, how to get in touch with you if they want to know. You're looking for athletes. Let the people know real quick, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, on social media, you can find me at Coach Cox _. If anyone needs to email me, my email is my first dot last name at uhsp.edu. That's markell.cox at uhsp.edu. But always drop me a message on Twitter. I'm a big Twitter guy. I check it constantly. Also, I'll do Instagram as well. But it's Coach Cox _. Feel free to reach out if people have any questions. If I can't help you, I can at least try to point you in the direction of people that can.
Man, I appreciate you, man. And right here behind me, make sure you and I continue to talk. And some of the young athletes you got, I want to make sure I get into you with the Rise. This is my sports marketing company. If you got an athlete out there at the high school in a state that's approved, or any college athlete, make sure you reach out to me, the one and only Coach Tony, and let's talk about the Rise NIL, where we bring sports marketing companies and athletes together so that both are successful. My athletes have the brands get recognized, and brands make sure the athletes wear the gear they want to. Also, tomorrow night, Coach Cox, if you're not doing anything, make sure you tune back in tomorrow night as we celebrate Black History Music Month in the month of the DJ. I ain't tell you, Coach Cox, I still on them ones and twos, man. I get out on them ones and twos, baby. So we celebrate Black Music Month, and me and myself, my co-host, Val the Voice Johnson, will be talking about that as we celebrate the month throughout the year, 8:00 p.m. right here on the dial. Make sure you tune in for that. But my brother, in the words of everybody, peace.
See you, Luke.
Yo.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know, it's the Pull Up Podcast. So, I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know, it's the Pull Up Podcast. So.